salute this land of ours, our country we declare, this promised land with its beauties grand. Though small, it is our own. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. From the east, west, north, and south, our banks and oceans meet, surrounding sands and hills of glee, a pristine beauty see. Our people forged and pledged with multiplicity of race and kind and creed and tongue, united by our goal.
Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. We stand with courage brave to maintain this land of ours, with islands scattered here and there. With trust in God we stand. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we
Oh, we salute this land of ours, our country we declare, this promised land with its beauties grand. Though small, it is our own. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. From the east, west, north, and south,
and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. We stand with courage brave to maintain this land of ours, with islands scattered here and there. With trust in God we stand.
Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos,
Our country firm and free. Our allegiance,
Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm.
our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we
We salute this land of ours, our country we declare, this promised land with its beauties grand. Though small, it is our own. Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. From the east, west, north, and south, our banks and oceans meet, surrounding sands and hills of glee, a pristine beauty see. Our people forged a plan with multiplicity of race and kind and creed and tongue, united by our goal.
Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos, our country firm and free. Our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm. We stand with courage brave to maintain this land of ours, with islands scattered here and there. With trust in God we stand.
Turks and Caicos, Turks and Caicos,
Our country firm and free. Our allegiance,
Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we affirm.
our allegiance, Turks and Caicos, we pledge and we
Her Excellency, Acting Governor, Mrs. Anya Williams, Premier, the Honourable Charles Washington Misick, and Minister of Finance, Investment and Economic Development, Honourable Jamel Robinson, Deputy Premier and Minister of Immigration and Border Services, the Honourable Erwin J. Saunders, Minister of Innovation, Technology and Energy, the Honourable Otis C. Morris, Minister of Public Safety and Utilities, the Honourable Arlington C. Musgrove, Minister of Physical Planning and Infrastructure Development, the Honourable Rachel Taylor, Minister of Education, Youth Sports and Library Services, the Honourable Kyle Knowles, the Minister responsible for Health and Human Services, the Honourable Shivago Jolly, Minister responsible for Tourism, Agriculture, Fisheries, Heritage and the Environment, the Honourable Attorney General, Mrs. Rondalee Brathwaite Knowles, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fitz Bailey, and other senior leadership of the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, other government officials, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the press, good evening. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to this important press conference where we gather not only to hear from the Honourable Premier, but to reaffirm our shared commitment to the people of these beautiful islands. Tonight's conversation is grounded in the principles that matter to our citizens, delivering results that uplift every community, ensuring safety and well-being of all, protecting the values of democracy and good governance, and paving the way for a secure Turks and Caicos. As we prepare to hear from the Premier, I am reminded of the words of President John F. Kennedy, who said, "Let every nation know that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship to assure the survival and the success of liberty." These words resonate deeply in our time as we strive to build a Turks and Caicos where liberty is not only preserved, but where it thrives in every home, in every neighborhood, and every opportunity created. With that, it is my privilege to invite to the podium the Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Honourable Charles Washington Misick. Premier.
Thank you, Kimo. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Tare Sir earlier, Honourable Jamaica in the crowd. But good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Almighty and all-powerful God, we stand before you today, evoking your presence in our hearts and homes. We are grateful for your unfailing love and gracious mercy, and we are truly humbled by the favor you've bestowed upon our nation. We confess that there are moments when the weight of uncertainty feels heavy. Yet, we hold fast to the promise of Isaiah 41 and verse 10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. You are our God, and tonight I publicly ask that you heal our land, bless our efforts with justice, mercy, and compassion, and to turn our hearts toward one another in love. We lift our frontline workers, our communities, and every person who is hurting or in need tonight. Strengthen every leader, every family, every young man, and every child in our islands. Fill us with courage, wisdom, and unity as we work together to overcome the storms we face. We ask these things in your holy and precious name. Amen. My fellow citizens, tonight we gather under the same sky that crown our beloved Turks and Caicos Islands. We do so at a defining moment in our history. Recently, we have faced trials that have shaken our communities, tested our strength, and stirred our emotions deeply. But let me say this, let me say it clearly and without hesitation, our spirit remains unbroken, and our country will rise above this latest challenge. What makes this nation extraordinary is not only its beauty or its resources, but the strength and resilience of its people. The mothers and fathers who never give up, the young people who still dare to dream, the neighbors who reach across fences to lift one another up, and the churches that continue to pray for our land. That is the true foundation of the Turks and Caicos Islands. Our journey forward will require more than just words. It will demand collective action and a shared commitment to rise above division, fear, and doubt. On behalf of the government and the people of these islands, I want to express our heartfelt condolences and support to all those who have been affected, to the families mourning the loss of loved ones, to those who have been forced from their homes, and to everyone whose life has been touched by the tragedy. Please know that you are not alone in your suffering. We stand with you in this time, and we are committed to doing everything that we can do to support and uplift you as you navigate this arduous journey. As your Premier, I am acutely aware of your concerns regarding national security, and I, with the Acting Governor, Her Excellency Anya Williams, our national security colleagues, and my cabinet have been working to address these recent social ills. And yet, even in the midst of hardship, I believe with every fiber of my being that this moment will become a turning point in our nation's story. We will face these challenges head on, not as isolated individuals, but as one nation, undaunted, unwavering, and unafraid. With faith in God, love for each other, and courage in our hearts, we will emerge stronger, more united, and ready to build the brighter future for our children. Tonight's briefing will address the critical issues at hand, outline the actions already taken, and provide clarity on the steps we are taking to ensure your safety, your well-being, and the future security of this country. The recent incidents of violence that have shaken our communities and have been unacceptable and deeply troubling. On July 21st, we lost 2 young men to fatal shooting. The Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force has since issued a wanted notice for a named individual in connection with this tragedy, and it is actively pursuing his arrest. Then, on July 27, our nation was shaken yet again by another fatal shooting. This one classified as gang-related. 3 lives were taken, 10 others were injured, and families were left devastated. 2 suspects have been arrested, and the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force is pursuing multiple leads with significant intelligence-led resources now being deployed to address this situation. I can report that as of 4:58 p.m. today, 2 of these individuals remain in hospital care in the general ward at the Cheshire Hall Medical Center, both in stable condition. 1 patient has been transferred overseas for advanced treatment, and all other patients have since been discharged. This week, I personally wrote to the United Kingdom Foreign Secretary to address the gravity of our current security challenges. The constitutional arrangements between the Turks and Caicos Islands and the United Kingdom place ultimate responsibility for defense and internal security squarely in the hands of the United Kingdom government. This responsibility cannot be symbolic. It must be matched with tangible and decisive action, particularly when the capacity of our local institution is being tested and, as is the case now, is at risk of being overwhelmed. The United Kingdom at this time cannot and must do their part, or these responsibilities must be devoted, or devolve rather, to the local government. Compounding these challenges are serious allegations that have been brought to the attention of my government in recent months. These allegations are deeply troubling, and they include aiding and abetting immigration fraud, facilitating unlawful entry and the irregular settlement of individuals in these Turks and Caicos Islands, misuse of consular privileges for a purpose unrelated to legitimate diplomatic functions, and potentially involving illicit activities. These allegations strike at the core of our national security and integrity, and at our immigration and border control systems. They will be treated with the utmost seriousness, and my government is working closely with the relevant authorities to ensure that these matters are investigated fully and that appropriate action is taken. Let me be clear, we will not allow criminal activity to take root in our communities. We will find those responsible. We will hold them accountable, and we will restore peace to our communities. The National Security Council has met extensively this week, and severe, strong measures are being implemented. The following national security measures have been agreed. We will amend the Disaster Management Act to include national security and public order provisions. This will allow the Commissioner of Police, based on national security assessments, to declare specific areas as disaster zones, enabling curfews, revised business hours, and other safety measures when necessary. We will review business and liquor license legislation to include mandatory police vetting and security assessments for all liquor license establishments. We will review and strengthen legislation to ensure strict penalties and fines on establishments that violate age restrictions relating to the sale of alcohol and entry of minors into licensed premises. Following a devastating fire on July 24, 2025, the Cabinet has declared Block 6050317, Mary Jane Lane, a disaster area for 90 days, effective July 29. This area has been unsafe and uninhabitable. Unauthorized access will be restricted, and reconstruction is prohibited at this time. We are fast-tracking initiatives to address informal settlements across these islands, as many of these areas are being used to harbor criminals. We're also reviewing enforcement and evacuation timelines to ensure that unsafe and unlawful settlements can be dismantled quickly and decisively when they pose national security concerns. We are faced with informal settlements that breed unsafe conditions, immigration fraud that undermines the integrity of our borders, and the scourge of human trafficking and drug trafficking that seek to use our shores as conduits for criminal enterprise. These issues threaten not only our security, but our very identity as a nation built on justice, decency, and respect for the rule of law. Before the end of September 2025, through the Parliament, we will make amendments to existing laws to authorize extraordinary police powers under controlled and legally supervised conditions. Temporary curfews are to be imposed during heightened security threats, with curfew orders issued by the governor upon application by the Commissioner of Police. Cordoned zones will be enforced in specific areas and they may be designated for control and containment operations. Warrantless researches will be authorized within declared zones based on operational intelligence and reasonable suspicion. Cordon and search powers will be exercised at the discretion of the Commissioner of the Police, subject to strict internal review mechanisms. These powers are not intended to disrupt the lives of law-abiding citizens, but to target those who seek to harm our society. They will be used only when necessary and always under lawful oversight to protect the safety and the security of the people of these islands. This is clear proof that my government is taking decisive and meaningful action. We have already undertaken a comprehensive review of our Immigration Act, and the findings and recommendations are expected to be presented to Cabinet in September. And then shortly thereafter, these legal proposals will be transmitted to Parliament with the aim of repealing and replacing the outdated legislation and replacing it with a modernized Immigration Act that better addresses the challenges we face today. In light of the ongoing escalation of violence in Haiti and the steady influx of work permit applications from that country, the government will immediately implement a 6-month moratorium on the issuance of first-time work permits to Haitian nationals. There will also be a 6-month moratorium on visas that will take effect immediately. This pause will allow us to develop and implement a more rigorous vetting process for applicants, ensuring the integrity of our immigration system and strengthening national security. It will also allow us to align with the government's broader intention to introduce a quota-based work permit system in the near future. Cabinet has agreed to assign the Ministry of Innovation, Technology, and Energy the lead mandate to develop a safe city technology strategy in collaboration with the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force and other security stakeholders to implement smart street lighting, CCTV, ANPR, connected traffic policing, and other related systems. As a matter of policy, it was decided that all licensed establishments must adhere to the closure hours. That is, Sunday to Thursday, they should be closed at 12 a.m. and Friday to Saturday, 2 a.m., effective immediately, July 31st, 2025. There will be a review, the approval and enforcement process under the Liquor License Act, and initiate a comprehensive review of licensing regime to clubs, bars, discotheques, events to include mandatory police vetting and security assessments for all licensed establishments, and events to protect against threats of national security as a result of criminal activity and to maintain public order and public safety. For too long, we have allowed certain behavior to fester, believing they were small or insignificant. But when we ignore the little things, antisocial behavior, a culture of disrespect for law and order, and dishonesty chips away at our institutions. Those small things become big things. They create the very environment in which violence and crime can flourish. Let me be clear. Everyone who has a legitimate right to be in this country has an obligation to help to protect this country. This evening, I had intended to address the nation on what my government has been doing to deliver for the people of these islands in a number of areas, including immigration, law reform, housing, the National Health Insurance Program, healthcare, but the government I lead is focused on its first mission, which is to safeguard these islands. So moving forward, you will hear more from me and my government on the work we are doing to modernize and strategically advance our country as it continues to grow and our people require advancement. So whether you are a police officer, a parent, a business owner, or a young person in school, you have a role to play. But protection does not mean vigilante justice or reckless behavior. It means standing together, speaking out, and supporting the actions that will restore peace and order to our communities. We proudly recognize the dedication of the Royal Turks and Caicos Police Force, the Turks and Caicos Regiment, Border Force, Immigration, Employment Services, our frontline workers, and the vast majority of our public servants who work tirelessly to deliver quality service to the people of these islands. But let me be absolutely clear. We are not blind to the fact that a small number of individuals are abusing their positions to engage in criminal activities, including human and narcotics trafficking. These actions undermine our national security, corrode the rule of law, and betray the trust of the very people they are meant to serve. And so I'm putting them on notice. Our very existence depends on the Turks and Caicos Islands being a safe place to live, to work, and to visit. Our economy, especially our tourism industry, depends on it. We cannot, and we will not, allow anyone to jeopardize the future of these islands. This is why, in addition to aggressively pursuing wrongdoers, we are also working to strengthen our prosecutorial system to ensure that offenders are successfully convicted and face the full force of the law. Justice must not only be pursued, it must be delivered. So make no mistake, my government will hunt down the wrongdoers. We will leave no stone unturned and no safe haven for those who betray this country. Justice will find you. I say justice will find you. Thank you. I believe I'm meant to be answering any questions. So we'll take a short period of questions. And
any questions from the media?
Good evening, Mr. Premier. Just on the matter of the moratorium on visas and work permit, does it have an expiration date?
yes, 6 months.
6 months. And during that time, what would be happening?
Well, during the next 6 months, certainly within the next 90 days, we will be reviewing the processes. We will see where there's any kind of breakdown in the system, and we will be making sure that those are tightened up. This is a country of law, and we have to follow the law. And so while we're in the process of modernizing the law, we also have to work with the law that we have. So we have to ensure that we behave responsibly, and I think that 6 months will give us an opportunity to review the processes and see whether further decisions need to be made.
As it relates to Mary Jane Lane, when you and the governor and the officials went on Sunday for a tour of the area, we saw fire was Thursday, and by Sunday we saw rebuilding. And you mentioned now that it's an area that it's prohibited. What policing would you do to prevent those people rebuilding now?
All of that is under discussion at the moment as to how we're going to, first of all, I said in my speech that it's illegal for persons to enter. All right, processes we'll put in place to make sure that persons who enter is dealt with according to the law. I also explained that we are strengthening or making amendments to the disaster ordinance in order to put some law and order provisions in place that would allow the police and other law and order stakeholders to deal with that situation.
Some might ask, what's the correlation between the liquor license and crime that you have to take this measure?
The correlation is when people get drunk, they do silly things, right? And so I think, I don't know how long you've been here, but I've spent all of my life here, and I know when, for example, bars didn't open beyond 12 o'clock on Saturday nights, okay? So we've been doing things to try to accommodate the tourism trade, but in so doing, we may be damaging the very thing we're trying to protect. And particularly, we've lost a number of our young people to drunk driving, right? And if you look at the profile of the criminals, they are young people, okay? And a lot of them are out late at nights. If you look at the crime profile as well, you would see that a lot of the murders or the serious crimes are created on early mornings, right? But I do think, I don't have the statistics, but I think globally, if statistics were pulled, we can find that there is a definite connection between the ability for people to have access to liquor for inordinate lengths of time, because people will drink themselves silly.
Finally, Mr. Premier, I was sort of. It intrigued me the other day when they had the January 6th riot in Washington, D.C., and most of the people that actually breached the Capitol, they were heavily masked, but they were able to be detected and charged and sent to prison. Do we have the face recognition technology here? And if not, are we going to get it?
The plan here is to fight crime with technology, right? But of course, if someone I'm not technically qualified to answer a question like that, because I feel like somebody's face is covered, it'll be hard to recognize them. There may be other ways that they could be recognized, but it is our intention, Commissioner, and Deputy Acting Governor, and we have the Minister for Technology here. We are working together to bring technology to bear on dealing with serious crime. And so I'm sure face recognition, finger recognition, and all types of other technology that is available out there is being considered.
Honourable Premier, Zoya Pastor from Radio Turks and Caicos. Good evening to you. My question for you first is, what happened to the law that we had in place that actually had bars closed on Sundays?
Good question. Very good question. Anyone who's operating a bar, so basically as I know or remember, if you're operating a restaurant, you are allowed to sell a drink, an alcoholic drink with a meal, right? And I believe a lot of people are using that cover. They're running bars rather than restaurants, but they're serving food. And so they're using that as a cover. So as I said earlier, over the next 90 to 60 days or however long it takes, we will be doing an in-depth examination of all of these establishments to see exactly what is going on and to what extent some of them are being used as fronts for other illegal activities. But there should be, in this country, there should be nobody running a bar on a Sunday. Of course, if you go to a hotel restaurant, you should be able to eat food and have a drink if you go to a restaurant that's open on Sunday. Up until recently, really very few restaurants used to be open on a Sunday. But we do have a tourism industry, and I think, and certainly in the tourism districts, that happens. And I don't think we should necessarily discriminate against our own people for being able to walk into a neighborhood restaurant and have a meal on a Sunday. So I think it's adequate. I mean, it's acceptable that you should go to a restaurant, and if you have a glass of wine, a lot of people come from church and they haven't cooked on it, and they want to go somewhere with their family to have a meal, and they should be allowed to do so. And if they want to have a drink, a glass of wine or something, they should have some place to go. I'm not suggesting that should be taken away, but I think we know what we're talking about when we talk about bars. I mean, I think there are cultures. I mean, everyone bring their culture, and I think it's important. We are a multicultural place, but some cultural behaviors we need to ban. We need to make sure that it's not allowed. Instead of buying into that culture, I think we should resist it, and we should uphold the law. There shouldn't be anybody playing music and having a bar open on Sunday. But so many of our own people patronize these places. And so part of the appeal is for them to stop as well, because they're breaking the law.
Will there be any curfews implemented in the near future? Do you see any of those stringent measures?
I can't speak to that. All I can speak to is that we've now amended the regulations to give, and the measures that we've attended to over the last few days now give the Commissioner of Police the ability to determine, to make assessment from a security point of view, whether there should be curfews in specific areas to help to curb criminal activity. We don't envisage a situation where we have a countrywide curfew. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about specific hot spots where crime is happening, and we need to bring it under control. The Commissioner has the ability to make that assessment, to make the recommendation to the Governor and to the Cabinet, for that matter, so the decision could be made as to whether a curfew should take place at over a particular time and place. I'm not going to preempt the Commissioner's decision on that, but I'm happy that we've been able to find a way to provide that authority to him. Any other questions? Any questions came in from the social media?
One question from social media. What technology is available now and what is coming?
That's a question I can't answer. And since I can ask the commissioner or the Minister for Technology or anyone else for the National Security Permanent Secretary whether they wish to address that question.
I just want to say that we have to be mindful that there are diverse people who are watching the interview, and we have to be very careful what we divulge in terms of technology that are available to us. But what I will say, we have some technology that we are using. For example, we have digital forensic that we use as a part of our police operation. But I wouldn't want to go into the technological solutions that we have available to assist us in policing.
Of course, you know, TCIG, like other overseas territories, have someone, a junior minister in the Ministry of FCDO, responsible for the territory. I didn't write to him. I wrote directly through the governor's office and through the FCDO to the Foreign Secretary, the Right Honourable David, what's her name? David Lemmy. So I would imagine the feedback that I got, that letter was received by his permanent secretary and forwarded to him. I have not yet received a reply. In that letter, I invited the foreign secretary to visit Turks and Caicos so he can see personally for himself the challenges that we face. And I also was very clear that the responsibility for security lies with the United Kingdom government, and that if they are unable and unwilling to discharge that authority, then they should hand that responsibility to the local government and let us deal with our own security. Because to this date, I am totally dissatisfied and upset with the level of, or lack of support, tangible, real support that we have been getting from them. So I've put it straight to the Foreign Secretary himself, and hopefully I will hear from him soon.
Last question. What areas are being considered for additional police stations?
I think the plan is to have, and again I'll let the Commissioner speak to this, because I think the discussion was had between the Minister for PPID, who's responsible for the infrastructure, and the Commissioner and myself. So I'll let the Commissioner speak to this. I think something has come up in the last week or so. We're making some serious effort for Blue Hills, but I know there are other actions going on at the moment, or considerations happening at the moment in terms of where these will be stationed, set up and how soon. So I'll leave it up to the Commissioner or the, you know.
On the issue of police stations, we are looking at a number of areas, as was stated by the Premier. Blue Hills is one of the area of focus based on what is happening there now. But as we discuss the issue of just having a physical building, we have to look at beyond the physical building, is to provide the capacity in terms of human resources, because having a police station, it puts more pressure on the police force to man that police station. And when we discuss, and there are places like 5 Keys, we would want to ensure that we have a facility there. But we just don't want to have a police station named. We want to ensure that when a police station is established, we have the human capacity to properly man those facilities. So we are looking at a number of stations, but we want to ensure that, because it's not, there are also what you call back-end support that is needed to properly man a police station. So we are looking at that, and we are looking at other solutions maybe than the physical police station. We're also looking at getting mobile police station, for example, which could be more flexible. And based on the budget that we have, there are some provision also for mobile police stations. And I think that you can move it from place to place, and if once we get the proper design also, that will be helpful. But critical to having a police station is the capacity to effectively serve the community where the police station is established.
Commissioner, one more question. Can you speak to how you believe these new measures with structured operating hours for liquor licensing establishments will help policing?
I think based on what was outlined, it's about bringing order to the industry. The legal framework stipulate, for example, when those facilities should be open, the time. But also there is some discretionary power that is given. And so when the discretionary power is used too, should I use a term, too generously, or it actually creates serious challenge, because the police has a responsibility to police every entertainment activity. The police has a responsibility. So I am accustomed to a just similar regime. 12 o'clock at nights, bars are closed. There might be 1 or 2, like a club, in specific provisions are made for those. And so when you do your policing, we normally advise our police that at 1:45 the closing hour, you start to patrol the zone to ensure. But when you have this sort of other type relationship where some are closed 3 o'clock, some 12 o'clock, or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's really pose a significant challenge. And if you look at what happened in our recent attack, it happened almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And it creates significant challenge for the police to patrol a regime that is not consistent across the board. We believe that it is a responsibility of the police. Every citizen is to be protected. And so creating a regime whereby the police is aware, for example, of an entertainment event, whereby if you are doing an entertainment event, we need to know what is your security arrangement. We need to know how many people are expected to be there. When we know that, we are able to plan. The divisional commander has a responsibility to police his division. If activities are happening without his awareness, it poses serious challenge to policing. So the type of regulation that was outlined, it will definitely assist us in policing our space more effectively.
Commissioner, sorry for coming in earlier. Mr. Commissioner, just the other day, a few months ago, we had the launch of a mobile police station, well-equipped police station. You mentioned earlier about getting more mobile police station. How is this one being used right now?
It is used, I mean, if you go to, most time you go, for example, to Fish Fry, That's on Thursday night. You see the police mobile station there goes into the community. We use it not only as a police station, but in our community policing effort, it is also used. So it is being effectively used.
With respect to policing in terrains that are really hilly or the roads are not that paved and stuff like that, in certain communities, especially provinciales, what's the challenges that your men might face?
Okay, so one of the things about policing, you have a thing called environmental design, which impact on policing. And environmental design, you speak to what you said. If a community is not properly constructed, informal community, and I go beyond just the physical construct of the community, there are so many other challenges when you have those unstructured community where you have illicit electrical connection. It poses challenge to the police officer when they go in there, the likelihood of being in contact with the electric, the illegal wiring. In terms of, I don't want to get into the detail, like disposal of waste, police patrolling at night, what you are likely to encounter, the ability for criminals to maneuver in those spaces because you don't have, there's no plan really. It's an unplanned structure. You can't drive your motor car or the vehicles that are assigned, and so you have to create special type of policing strategy, which sometimes can be resource intensive. So when you have those informal community, it really poses significant, there's no address. I'm accustomed to, in a formal community, you have number, 55, this, 50, and you go there, you have to just ask where the person lives. So it poses significant challenge. Our police officers working at night, when there's no formal structure, even the lighting. Because if there's no formal structure, I don't think government will invest in those community and provide and ensure that the infrastructure is there that a normal community has.
Mr. Commissioner, are you able to provide any updates on the recent investigations? Has there been any significant progress since Sunday?
Okay, I think the Premier referenced it, but I just want to say that we actually took one more person in. So there are 3 persons now in custody with regards to that investigation. And I want to reassure the nation, as was said by the Premier, we are going to get to the bottom of it. We know exactly what happened. We know all the players, and we will bring them to justice. One of the things that was highlighted by the Premier in his presentation about the criminal justice system, and I think I need to say this, there are 5 persons that we suspect, and we know were involved. 3 of them were in conflict with the law before. 2 of them were charged and are before the court and were granted bail for serious offenses. 1 of them was charged, held with an illegal weapon. He went before the court, he was granted bail. He was charged again for another illegal weapon. He went before the court and he was granted bail. So as the Premier made reference to how do we strengthen the framework to ensure that people who engages in these type of serious offenses, they remain in custody until they are tried. If they are not guilty, justice must be served, because it can frustrate even law enforcement sometimes when you constantly arrest people and they go before the court and they are granted bail. As a matter of fact, I will say this, Honourable Premier and Governor, that we met with representative from the DPP's office yesterday, and it was not because of lack of effort on the part of the DPP's office in respect to one of them, why the person was granted bail. He tried everything that was possible because we have to think about the victims of crime also. It is important. It's not, sometimes we focus a lot on human rights, but I will say that the victims do have rights too. And we have to balance human right with victims' right. And I think when we look at the criminal justice system and even the court regime, the regime within the courts, there has to be that balance between human rights and the whole issue of victims' right.
Commissioner, members of the community have expressed mixed feelings about the number of overseas officers that are being brought into the Turks and Caicos Islands. What efforts are you making to attract local talent into the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force?
Okay, I had an executive meeting just today, and I almost shouted in that meeting because we have been trying and have been saying we need to ensure that the local recruitment. I think I spoke to the governor regarding it because there are great opportunities. When I went to the cadet service just last week, or week before last, and I saw the young people on display. I pointed out that that's a good recruiting ground for the police force. And I was very, very, very serious and decisive, and I gave instruction that the program must be implemented with dispatch. The acting governor promised that she would assist in terms of our PR, because what we do, what I think we need to do is go into the institutions and advertise ourselves. We go into the high school and we advertise ourselves. So it's something that I gave instruction just today that we need to select the people and they need to be presented so that we can organize for them to be trained.
Question, Commissioner. How can we ensure that the other islands are also being safeguarded so that we don't have these issues in those islands as well?
It's about, whilst we have to work with what we have, and it's about the capacity. We have been offered 175 new positions within the police force, and as soon as we get those human resources, they will be distributed within the islands. We are mindful that we have done our assessment and we know where the greater risks are, and so we have to deploy our men and women where the risks are greater.
Mr. Commissioner, one of the matters, as a journalist on the road sometimes, one of the matters that I face, the complaints that I get is the complaint of mistrust with the police. What plans do you have to allay that fear? It might be a fabricated fear, it might be something that's actually there, but it's still being discussed. Person said we don't trust the police. What would you implement? Because you mentioned about going into the institution, the schools, to sell the police force. But that mistrust, you might have to deal with that first.
Most police forces, I don't know of any, that because you are given this extra power, extraordinary power that can restrain and restrict people's movement. So it is very easy for that type of mistrust. When you do your own, and it's something that we have looked at, one of the things that I have tasked my intel person to do is to have a survey. Because one of the things that we are planning to do to ensure that we have survey to measure the trust of the police between citizens and the police. Because sometimes it's more perception than reality. A lot of time when we hear that citizens do mistrust the police and you ask them, have you ever had an encounter? They will tell you, no, it's because of what somebody else say. So I am mindful of that, and what we are working to do is to ensure what we want is just a professional police force, And that's what we are working towards, to ensure that every member of the police force recognize that they are a part of nation building. And if they are going to be a part of nation building, they have to conduct themselves in a certain way, in a professional way that inspire confidence and one that will cause the public to respect them. Thank you.
Premier.
Before I turn back to Camo, I'd like to use this opportunity for one last appeal, because the fight is not the police fight. It's not my fight alone. It's not border force fight alone. It's not immigration fight alone. It's our fight. We all live here, and if we want a nice, quiet place to rear our families, then we have to buy in. We have to have skin in the game. Right? And that is why I particularly mentioned the fact that we're going to be taking strong action against underage attendance at bar and serving alcohol, because it's incumbent upon parents to know where their kids are, because that is where it starts. It starts with perhaps being too liberal with our young people. And so that's my appeal to parents, grandparents, civic leaders, and everyone else. As I said at the beginning, if you live in this country and you're here, you have an obligation. And so I want to thank everyone for listening. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for tuning in and for listening and hearing the facts directly from both the Premier and the Commissioner of Police. This evening's press conference was intended originally to address a number of national issues which the government will be addressing going forward in the coming weeks. There's got lots of good work being done across government in immigration, in education, in healthcare, in tourism, and the government will keep you abreast of all those changes and those good accomplishments in the coming weeks. It is the mission of this government to meet with you, the media, every 6 weeks going forward. So how you were very comfortable during COVID for these press conferences, please get ready. We're going to return to that every 6 weeks. That doesn't mean, for people who are watching on Facebook, that every 6 weeks the government will be repeatedly coming out and talking about crime. The government will be talking about the deliverables they're doing every day for the citizens and residents of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in. Wish you all a good night and God's blessings and over our nation. Thank you. Good night.